So what I've done now is just pour some water from the pond in here. Then I'm going to stir this up, get any crap out. If it's really bad, I could actually take the gravel out, clean it in the water from the pond. So I've got all the crappy water coming out there. I'm going to try to wash that using water from the pond. If that's so bad, then tap water probably is the hose is your only option. But if you do this regularly, it's definitely going to make sure it doesn't all clog up. Right now, I'm not unhappy with it. It's not in a really bad state. And if it's in a really bad state, then it will underperform. So now when the fish produce waste, assuming there's plenty of oxygen in the water, there's different media you can use to grow the bacteria, assuming that you're not actually, allowing the chlorine in the tap water to kill the good bacteria. Now, one option is gravel. Now, the disadvantage of gravel is it's heavy and it's all nitrification, which means it breaks high-level waste into low-level waste, ammonia into nitrate, or something you don't want into something else that you don't want. Now, on the other hand, there is more advanced medias available, such as Marine Pure. So this Marine Pure here, probably worth about $40. Now, it never needs replacing, and this media has a surface area to volume ratio, which allows the formation of denitrifying bacteria on the inside and nitrifying bacteria on the outside without releasing hydrogen sulfide, which means that you could actually get this, throw it in the pond, providing there's water flow and oxygen. Then this one will break the ammonia into nitrate, then the nitrate into nitrogen gas. So this is a far more advanced media. And because this pond has a little bit of ammonia and a little bit of nitrate, increasing the oxygen is the first thing we need to do. And then if you increase the biological media, that's how you grow more bacteria to get rid of the ammonia and eventually the nitrate. Nitrate takes a long time to get rid of. Ammonia should only take a few weeks. So making sure there's good flow, preferably kinetic flow, making sure that we're siphoning any crap that's on the bottom of the pond, and then adding, what this is basically is like a compost heap. So we don't want the compost heap too clean. We don't want the compost heap washed with water from the tap, and you don't really need to replace it. So you could go throw them either in the pond or put them in a sack and put the sack in the pond so they're able to be pulled out. And this here is going to do a wonderful job at creating more bacteria to compete with the algae. So these fish are surprisingly friendly, and I have to keep my hand over the end because if I put a strainer, they'll clog up straight away, and I want to make sure I don't suck a fish up.
Yeah.
But they don't like that.
No, that's not nice.
Now, the other thing to talk about is fish age.
Yes.
So some of these fish are definitely looking not young.
Yes.
In the wild, Casura serratus, the original goldfish, 4 to 7 years is a pretty normal life. But in situations like this, you do hear stories of sort of 12 years, 20 years, and so forth.
Well, I can guarantee you these fish are at least 20 years old.
Well, that is very, very impressive.
She's never replaced them.
I wonder if some of them are bred in here, though.
They may have. Well,
Yeah.
not in here, but in her
In the old
pond.
pond. Yeah, I think you'll find that in the 20 years, these have probably had a very good life, but some of these may be not that old because they may have been bred
Okay.
in this situation. Now, the koi, you're looking at more like 40 or 60 years.
Okay.
And apparently the oldest one ever is still alive right now in the Royal Garden in Tokyo. That's apparently over 250 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've seen it. So supposedly.
Wow.
So believe that if you wish. Okay, so not wanting to shock the fish, I don't actually want to change any more water than this. Now in winter, you don't want to go doing real big water changes because the temperature shock can actually shock the fish. But being a beautiful summer day here in Australia, doing a larger water change is definitely an option. So what I'm wanting to do now is I want to add some GH powder to raise the GH. I want to add a bit of KH powder, and then every 5 centimeters, I want to add a full dose of water ager. And we get the water full again. And once again, when you're cleaning a fish pond or something, we don't want to do too much at once. Small amounts regularly are not going to shock the fish. Too much can shock the fish. So, in reference to keeping this pond clean, the first thing is regular water changes are going to help. Removing any leaf litter is going to help. Not overfeeding the animals is going to help. Now, if we wanted to improve this situation on a lower budget, then there are various all-in-one UV products that you can look at adding, supplementary to this one. Value for money, this is a pretty good little setup, but that's a horizontal flow. which I'm happy that's there, but if we added that to something like a Pontec all-in-one, I think it's a 2,600 PM or something like that, and we're going to want that pumping the water round so we start getting kinetic energy. Moving the water like that is also going to help to keep it much cleaner and keep all the particles in solution, in motion. Now, if you had a higher budget, we could then look at something like a Wasa Filter Clear. They're an amazing, amazing filter. So the disadvantage of the Filter Clear is it is going to have a couple of cords going in and out of the pond. So you've got a lovely big plant there. We could hide it underneath the plant. We could hide the Filter Clear over there somewhere potentially. And to clean the Filter Clear, all we're doing is switching it to backwash, pumping on a handle, and that literally cleans your filter for you. And it's going to have a UV in it. And it's run on a dirty run pump that hardly ever needs cleaning. Now, you could get a smaller size UV Filter Clear, and it's going to really, really help this pond. Now, if money was unlimited, you could then look at upsizing the Filter Clear. Now, the bigger the filter that you have, the more fish that it can actually handle, and the less often it's going to need maintenance. And once again, if you have the Filter Clear, you switch it to backwash, you pump on it for a while, that's going to let the water go down, then you can fill it up again, and that is very easily going to allow you to do a water change. So once again, as long as your water is moving like this, and your particles are staying in solution, then your pond will stay very clear. The other thing with the Filter Clear is it's going to be run off an Aquamax pump, and it's a dirty run pump. So you can chuck the pump down the bottom, and the dirty run pump will actually pump solids. So it'll suck all your solids out. It'll move like 5 or 10 mil, whatever the setting is for the pump, but it will suck all the solids out of the water. Whereas your normal pumps, if particles go into it, it'll clog the pump. Whereas a dirty run pump, even if it'll pump gravel through it, it won't ruin the pump. So we could literally throw it down the bottom there and it'll suck all that crap out. Now, other thing that we can think about is things like, these are fabulous. So we could literally set that up, and that's actually a great place for the marine fuel balls, unless it looks obnoxious, but putting the marine fuel balls in there is a wonderful high oxygen place for it. So we could either run a pump for this, if we got the smaller Filter Clear, we could potentially run it, but I really want to see that kinetic energy. So the other option would be run that off that if we wanted to. That didn't have a heap of flow though. So to run this, we can either get a separate pump, we can either run it off the Filter Clear, which I'm sort of hesitant to recommend, and otherwise, yeah, run it off that, either get another pump or run it off the Filter Clear. But that would look sort of cool. So what we've done now is put some Marine Pure into the fountain we've added. And that's like an ideal place just for trying to grow some extra bacteria. And then instead of having that little mushroom that we had, we've now got a spillway, which will be wonderful for oxygen. So that's like a better than nothing improvement. And if we angle it that way, maybe we get a little bit of kinetic energy out of that. So now we're going to fill the water up 5 centimetres. We're going to add some prime, fill it up 5 centimetres and add some prime. So the hose is currently right down in the ditch there. And I'm very happy because if I put the hose down in the ditch and suddenly the whole thing goes feral, then I know there was lots and lots of crap down the bottom. Whereas I know there's crap down the bottom, but it wasn't actually that bad. So now we just slowly fill the pond up. And that'll be a step in the right direction. So the plan is get as much dirty water out as possible, put as much clean water back in as possible, as long as the water is aged. Now I'm going to dump in a bit of GH to raise our GH level, which will improve the immune system of the fish. And some of these fish being very much on the old side could do with a bit of an immune system boost. And then giving them some time with that new Danichi food. And we're really stepping in the right direction. And just being aware that fish don't live forever. So if you lose the odd one, considering that these fish are, some of them in excess of 20 years old, these guys have had a good run, and they've definitely had plenty of love by the sounds of it. So we're just going to try raising the GH. Now this is going to help the fish's body slime, help their immune system, and also that these fish definitely have a little bit of damage on them.
Yeah.
So the salt...
Is he damaged, the big one?
Not really, I haven't seen... I mean,
I thought he had a mark on the back of his neck.
Oh, I'll try and see him closer, but it didn't jump out.